Bonjour, we are here for the special digital days for I Love Italia for Maison&Objet. And I'm Alice Stori Liechtenstein, and my guest today is Piero Lissoni. Welcome with us, Architetto.
Buongiorno.
The title of the talk today is Good Design is Sustainable by Nature. So we're going to have a little bit of a conversation with this, but first I'd like to briefly introduce you. You were born in Seregno, near Milan, and you studied architecture at the Politecnico in Milan. You opened your studio in 1986 with Nicoletta Canesi, and the work of your studio ranges from furniture to lighting to architectural fixtures, interior design projects, houses, and even yachts. And you're also a creative director for several Italian companies such as Alpi, B&B Italia, Boffi, Living Divani. And as well, you work for many other brands such as Cassina, De Padova, Cartel, Knoll. And what I really like is that you describe yourself as a humanist and that designing is a very important part of your life. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what it means to you being a humanist.
Oh my God, such a question, you know. It's for me quite early morning, and you start immediately with one.
We start with the difficult ones and then we can go on the easier ones.
Yeah, that one is a good strategy. But anyway, thank you and welcome from everybody. Being architect in Milano, it's quite a status because you need to mix match together two different opportunity. One, it's a scientific side, and the second one is a humanistic side. The humanistic side is for me more interesting because, like Vitruvius, I like to discuss about the capacity to be in the same time architect, to working in the same time like an engineer, to making with hands different things, looking the stars, making some mathematical calculations. In the same time, you need to be good in drawings, or you need to start to think about of many different aspects, I don't know, like literature, poetries, paintings, different qualities of art. That one is a humanistic approach. And inside all my life, I try to push the humanistic approach to be a status of life.
Mm-hmm. I think that you've explained that very well, so it wasn't that difficult a question after all. You've also mentioned that tomorrow is the most important moment of your life. And I think it's a very positive quote because it means that we can always do something new and something better. So how do we design for the future? What are the important things when we design for tomorrow?
Listen, for that one, we discover something tomorrow morning because now it's today. When I think about the future, I start anyway to respect our past. I start to think about our traditions. In the same time, I need tradition to jump and to start to think about the future. When I thoughts in my mind, anyway, tomorrow morning it's a new day. It's a status of life again because I like to improve and I like to change myself every day, and I like to start every day like a new year, a new time, a new decades. Well, when I think about the future, I start anyway to be respectful because I was respectful in the past, and I like to be respectful tomorrow morning again.
I think the word respectful it's a very important word because there's a lot of noise and a lot of talk about sustainability and green design, and sometimes it feels like it's just a little bit of green paint over objects just to make sure that they sell. It's a bit of a marketing. So, but if we are respectful when we design, then it's a very different approach. So what do the words design and sustainability have in common? How can you do real sustainable design?
I think the first important topic inside in the sustainability, it's another word, is the durability. The durability is the real quality. Because when you start to design something, you don't design something, to be used for less time. You design something to be used for a lot of time. And that one, I think, is the quality. The first topic is that, I'm not interested inside in the circular economy. When you design something, you need to design with the correct material, and after that, in the end of the life, tomorrow morning, you start to recycling everything. First, of course, it's interesting to be inside in a circular economy. Second one, it's important when the old pieces, it doesn't matter if it's a building or it's a chair, in the end of the life, you retreat everything and you retransform everything in something different. But the most important topics is, please, we need to design something with a durability. That one is a quality.
So if we have a good design that lasts a long time, it means that it's already sustainable because it's durable. So it's lasting a long time.
Yes, of course, you need to discuss about something more intelligent, because otherwise it's become again the only green facade, a little bit marketing oriented, and in the back of the green facade nothing happened.
And how does that apply also to architecture? What is sustainable architecture then?
Listen, the sustainable architecture is a good architecture. It's first you need to use in a correctly way the material. The second one, when you build something, you need to respect some functionality or some qualities. I don't know. For example, when you use a special window, they need to cut the temperature in a correctly way, but at the same time, you need to combine together material. And when the building becomes, in the end of the life, you start again to recycling everything in a good way, But in a good way, it means, for example, now for everybody, the concrete is an enemy. Now everybody talk about wood, but it's not correct, because the concrete, if it's in a good quality, and doesn't matter if it's in a good quality or in a bad quality, you treat, you crunch the building, and after that you retransform the concrete in something different. I don't know, you retransform in asphalt, or you retransform again in a new concrete. The metal one, the metal structure, you took away the metal structure and you, I don't know, you prepared a new can, or you prepared the new railways, or you do something in metal again. I don't know, airplane till ships. Well,
it's also a question of building with the right material in the right setting, because obviously the transport of resources is something which is expensive and obviously has an impact. So it's also a question of choosing the right way of building for each situation, isn't it?
Yes, of course. And at the same time, if you are in the middle of nowhere in Italy, you don't need to keep material from the United States. In the same system, it's when I build something in New York, I need to use the local qualities and the local surroundings, and that one, I think it's the intelligent one. Otherwise, we ship and go around the world tons of different materials to make something, around. But that one, I think it's a completely wrong approach. The new one is to focalize everything, if it's possible, and if much is possible, to use the local forces and the local attitude and the local material.
Local also means the local craftsmanship. So I know that for you, craftsmanship is something which is very important. And how can craftsmanship and technology be combined successfully, in your opinion?
Listen, it's again the humanistic approach. 100 years ago, the people, they was very good by hands, and they start to use less technologies, and they combine together eyes, hands, and less technologies. And they did incredible pieces, I don't know, 300 years ago. But now the new generations, they use robots. But at the same time, we need to touch with the hands. We need to look with our eyes, I like the idea to be in progress, to work in this kind of progressive life. I'm quite optimistic in that, And we just started one beautiful project in India, in Mumbai, and I discovered this incredible, great craftsmanship material made it by these guys, with hands. In the same time, I discovered they start to work with some small robots because it was more intelligent, and some finishing and some surfaces they was touched by hands, but at the same time by robots in India. Can you imagine in Europe? It's quite useful to do that. I like the idea to be modernist in the same time, to be in the middle. I don't know what happened tomorrow morning again, but I like the combination.
And how strong is Italy in this respect? Are we still in a strong position? Can we still teach and move forward?
Listen, I think we are in a good position because we start to combine together many different aspects. I tell you, humanity with technologies many, many years ago. In our field, like the industrial design or furniture design, we start many, many years ago to design technologies, It's not enough to design chairs or kitchens or wardrobe or sofas, that one is quite easy. But we start to design technologies more than 60, 70 years ago. And we continue in that way, Now when you move inside in some factories, you discover young people with this unbelievable human touch combined together with technologies, but unbelievable technologies. Now we talk about intelligent machine. We're talking about new brain algorithm and something like this, but at the same time, it's a combination. I never believe in a purity, I live in a contaminated world, humanistic approach and technological approach.
And how do you see this? There's a growing number of designers which are also makers, and they produce their own furniture and objects independently of the support of companies. And how do you see this? Do you think this reflects a distancing from industrial production? Is this a way of working with craftsmanship, or is it more of an art movement?
Listen, I'm an industrial designer, and for me, the connection between me and the factories, it's a crucial point, it's a crossover. It's the most important crossover in my life. Now, in the last 10 years, a lot of people, they start to think about, okay, I design something, I produce something, I sell something, everything by myself. It's a possibility. It's in between artisan and art and a little bit industrialization. But in my mind, you need to, for me, you need to think about this kind of crossover. And I like the combination, and at the same time, the dialogue in between me and factories, in between me and entrepreneur, in between me and somebody else who discuss with me. Sometimes we're fighting to make a project, Otherwise, if you don't open this kind of discussions, it's personally mine. This one is my thoughts. It's a little bit empty because you are everything. You do everything by yourself. But the criticism, the broken point of discussion, is inexistent. In Italian, we say, you write the music and you play the music all together. It's a little bit incorrect.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of factories, a lot of companies. Do you find that the role between the designer and the company has changed in the last decades, or it's pretty stable?
Listen, of course it's changed because it's in an evolution moment too, because 20 years ago it was different, 30 years ago it was different, 40 years ago it was different, 50 years ago it was different, and now we continue in that way, you know. But in the same time, some topic points, some topics, they become again the same. First, you need to be good. Second one, you need to put inside, if you are a designer, you need to put inside knowledges, creativity, and the capacity to be interactive with somebody else, you know, because you're not alone. Now, the new generations of designers, they are, of course, good, but they need, again, to adapt themselves. Not the factories, but the designers, they need to adapt themselves. And the factories too, but in a secondary time. First of all, we need open-mind designers. And the second one, we need people with a bit of curiosity.
With a bit of curiosity.
Yeah. A lot of, I like to be honest in that, you know, a lot of new people, they are not really curious, you know. They think they are very secure, but their life is not secure. It's not a secure harbor, you know what I mean? It's the life. It's unsecure. Every day it's unsecure. Intellectually speaking, you need to be not completely secure. You need to ask yourself.
It's about being questioning, always questioning the...
You need to question it. You need to be full of doubt. And after that, you start to do something. Now, a lot of young designers, they are super, super, super secure. Come on. The life is so tricky. Please, don't believe completely.
Yeah, I mean, I also know a lot of designers who are not so secure. So I think it's a bit of a change in phases. So there's definitely a bit of everything. But it's true that one needs to be constantly questioning what we're doing. And I think what is important is also the fact that these relationships are not something quick, and the project and the designing of a project is something that takes a lot of time. And that in itself is already a way of making design sustainable, because it means that not everything gets done quickly.
Yeah, you know, that one is again another mistake, because for many people designing, it means it's a very short process, very quick. You start and tomorrow morning, you start this morning and tomorrow morning everything is ready. It's not true. You know, the design process, it's a long process. Sometimes it's like an endless process, you know, because you start and you don't know in which way it's possible to say, hey guys, okay, we are in the end of the project. It's a process. Well, and that one is a discussion. The second one is, being a designer, you need to live with one simple question: are you sure? Every moment you need to ask yourself, are you sure? And after that you start. Or you start again, or you start again, or you start again.
I like this. I'm going to write it down. Are you sure? I think that's a very good question to ask ourselves every time that we're doing something.
The last 30 years inside every moment in my life, somebody asked me, Piero, are you sure? It's a good question. Simple, but very precise.
And in your opinion, what has changed the most in the way of designing in the last decade? Because you mentioned that things are always evolving, always changing. So also in respect to the relationship with factories and companies, what do you feel has been the biggest change of the last decade?
Listen, the last decade, the biggest one it was, and it is day by day, we are not focalized in one country, or we are not focalized in a few countries. Now we are focalized to work with all over the world. When you design something in Italy, in Brianza or somewhere else, you design something not for our customers, but you design something for the world. somebody buy the same pieces in Japan or somebody else buy the same pieces in Argentina. You don't know very well what happened. In the same time, you don't know who are the victims of your design, And that one, it's a good attitude. That one, it is for me the great changement. And design has become, like 30 years ago, it's become very fashionable. It's like a fashion design. 30 years ago, the people, they start to discover fashion in a good way or in a bad one. And 10 years later, we start to discuss about of design in the same way. It's very fashionable. Now everybody discuss about of design. Everybody like to be a designer. Everybody like to discuss about of architecture in a good and in a bad way. Sometimes I'm a little bit shocked because in a normal social life, when I'm talking with somebody else and they tell to them I'm architect, and the people, they say to me, architect. I like to be architect. Unfortunately, I'm economist or I'm entrepreneur, but the second, my wish is to be architect, and they design everything by themselves. One disaster.
Why do you think everyone wants to be an architect? Or why do so many people see the architect role as something, as a kind of like ambition or something beautiful to do?
I don't know, because probably they think about in a superficial way, they think cover, interview, connection, Facebook, champagne, glittered life, but it's not true. It's not our life.
No, but I think maybe it's also something positive. Maybe it's just this this desire to be more creative, or I see this as a positive sign that people are interested also in things around them and how they can be beautiful or functional. So maybe it's actually not just a question of fashionable job, but as something which is which actually makes life better.
I don't know, probably because the level of creativity, a lot of people, they think, our life, it's a creative life without any other quality, or if you like, any other improvement, because we are only creative. We live in the cloud all the time. We think only to be very good in creativity, but it's not true, probably. Yeah. In the same time, because now I tell you, design something or live inside in a house is become very, very, very fashionable.
Mm-hmm. This comparison that you make between design and fashion, I think it's important, because a lot of designers they feel that they have to develop their own style. And I remember that you mentioned that design should not be an exercise in style. So maybe you want to say something about that.
It's not, because if you think the design it's a pure style, or it's an exercise around the style, it's a limitation, because being a designer, it means you have to work inside in the structural part of the factories. You need to know technologies, you need to improve technologies. Sometimes you need to jump out of the technologies and productions and marketing view from the factories. You need a lot of cultural approach. Otherwise, for many people, they are focused on to design something inside in a project, but it's not true. First, you need to jump in a process, and that one, it's a sophisticated dimension, and it's a sophisticated small distances in between process and project. But without the first one, the process, you don't do it anything in a project. Otherwise, you treat something with a superficial changement of style, but it's not, for me, it's not interesting.
Yeah. And another thing that you mentioned, or that it's a quotation of yours, is that you say that when you design something for a community, it is better to be disruptive. And I was curious about this word disruptive and in which way one can be positive and disruptive at the same time. And maybe there are some examples that you can give us.
Listen, that one, of course, it's a round of language because it's a round of language. In the same time, it's a round of this attitude. Sometimes when I thought and I think about of my professional life and personal life too, I think about into different situations. It's a little bit schizophrenic situation because for one side you need to be very anarchist, and in the second one you need to use like a military order in your life, you know.
Yeah, because you're working for the community anyway.
Because you live inside in a community, but you need to combine together two different aspects. You need for one side to be anarchist, and in another one to use a lot of order first. And second one, when you discuss about of new project, for one side, again, you need to respect. For another one, you need to destroy. Otherwise, nothing is possible. I tell you, for example, when we designed one chair for Cartel, and it was designed with a completely new idea of material, in a provocative way, they asked me to design a chair in carbonium fiber. But I try to change the technologies. In that way, I destroyed the consciousness, and at the same time I destroyed the code, because making something in carbonium fiber is like, in a traditional way, you use some carbonium surfaces like a paper, and after that you glue it together with the special resin. In my mind, it was okay. I don't like to use this kind of technology. I like to mold carbonium fiber in a completely destructive and completely incorrect point of view. But after 2 years, we did a chair, and after many, many years, because I did a chair 4 years ago, we mold every year more than 100,000 chairs in carbonium fiber molded. In that way, you need to be destructive. Otherwise, nothing happens. When you design a building, it's so easy, to being again with the classical beam and pillar. But sometimes, if you make a new destructive and changement inside in a static calculation, something happens.
So it's a fine balance between what we keep and what we let go and what we bring in new.
Listen, I don't know if it's anyway, you need to be crazy for many reasons. You need to be disciplined for other reasons. It's a combination, it's a cocktail.
And my very last question to you, because we're already coming to the end of our conversation, is what is the one change that you would like to see in the design world in the near future? What do you wish yourself?
I don't know. I'm totally open-minded. I wish for the future generations the same level of luckiness, the same possibilities, and the same capacity to be open-minded, in the same time to be curious, in the same time to be honest. Not more, The other one looks like a manifesto. I'm not a great fan of manifesto, I like to be a little bit more low level in front of this kind of qualities of life. Be curious, be coherent.
I think honest is very important. I think making honest design is something that we should be very much aiming for.
Yeah, we should to be something like this.
Yeah.
And that's it, not more.
That's it. Simplicity is actually very complex.
Yeah, the simplicity is the public face of complexity.
Yeah. Well, Architetta, it was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope we get to meet in real life very soon again.
I hope too. And thank you for your time and for your questions and for your beautiful smile. And I hope to see you soon, or in Paris or in Milano.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you very much. And goodbye to everyone.
Grazie.